No,
Coming to
just
you
throw
live from Arsenio Hall's Dog Pound, because Matt wanted a 90s callback. It is the Ditch Diggers Season 8, Episode 17, with Mur Lafferty and Matt Wallace.
Ditch diggers appear and ain't no wannabes here with some not so nice advice for your writing career. To be clear, no punches will be pulled, but the punch may be spiked. How they like before they get on the mic. To my left we got the mighty Mur Lafferty, and if I piss her off, believe me, she'll come after me. And her co-host Matt Evan Wallace on the right. Yes, she may be half as hype as she can take him in a fight. So settle in, folks, buckle in and boot up. Time to meddle in a way to make your writer shut up. It's hard work, but the perk is that it's fun and exciting. Facebook will still be there when you're done writing. Ditch Diggers! Ditch Diggers!
How are you, Matt?
I'm good. I'm just thrilled I got you to say Arsenio Hall's Dog Pound. That was the whole point of the bit.
You're welcome.
I feel like I'm done. I can just go home now. Well, I'm home already. I'm doing this from my home.
You are.
So really, I've accomplished all my goals. I don't know what to do with myself now.
Okay, how about do a podcast?
We can do a podcast that is also a live stream.
Yeah, wow. It's like a floor wax and a dessert topping.
No, it makes you really realize how in the future you are, you know? Because, like, we thought we were in the future doing podcasts like 15 years ago.
But we weren't.
Which I know it blows everybody's mind to find out the podcast existed 15 years ago. Because I know they were just invented like 6 months ago and then a year before that, whatever. But yeah, we thought we were in the future then.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's like we're doing a podcast while streaming live on Twitch. Like, it's bananas.
Actually, Vulture has claimed podcasting's over. It apparently started with Serial in 2012, and now it's over.
Now it's over. Well,
I said a bunch of bad words. Yeah.
Then I guess we're not really doing this right now. We're
I guess
really
not.
Here.
Are you saying you want to stop, or are you saying that we don't exist? Because the second one.
I'm saying we can't exist. If Vulture says it's over, then how can we be doing a podcast right now?
I don't know. I really don't. So today we're going to be talking about book launches, because that and pet stuff is all that's on my mind, and we don't have a pets podcast. So
we should have a pets podcast.
You don't have a pet.
I will get a pet so we can do a pets podcast.
Oh, good. Yeah, my dog is almost 2 weeks off of her major knee surgery. She's doing this past Saturday was the first time we actually felt like she was doing better. And, yesterday she was up. Sometimes when I sit at the kitchen table, she comes and stands beside me and barks politely, not like aggressive or even piercing. She's just kind of like, woof. And that is the, I would like to go outside now, please, noise. And it's the, I want to go back and patrol the backyard, not the I need to pee thing. So
right. I want to go
for the first time in like weeks, I was sitting at the kitchen table and she's like, woof, woof. I'm like, you can't even put weight on that leg. No, she's like, no, feel good, woof. So that's kind of good and kind of annoying.
She's a warrior, and it's hard for her to be laid up like that.
She is. Oh, definitely. That's why she's sedated. But I think the sedatives, she's starting to develop a tolerance.
Preemie has pointed out that while I do not have a pet myself, I am the uncle to her cat Fiasco.
True.
Who does not laugh at any of my jokes, no matter how funny they are.
Right. Well, if you're Fiasco's uncle, you got to be Rosa's uncle.
Oh yeah, no, long standing. So really, I just feel like, I have relationships with pets. I say it daily, and I guess that's kind of a weird sentence now that I'm reflecting on it, but you know what I mean.
So Matt, you are in a resting period with work. Tell us about where you are right now with your whips. Like how I did that.
So because this relates to what we're talking about today. I'm in that resting and getting strong period. I have books that will be coming out, but the release dates for them, really the books themselves haven't been announced yet. So the books are in copy edits and they will be coming out next year, but I don't really have anything to promote yet relating to them. So
I just think you should
I'm
promote
just kind
that
of,
you're
you know.
like resting after busting your ass for all of 2022 so far.
No, and I know I put it. I've said that on Twitter a few times, but yeah. So that's, and I say resting. I'm writing a video game full time too. So resting, I really just mean I'm just going to do one job for a few weeks. That's really what that boils down to. Just do one incredibly taxing job for a few weeks. So yeah, no, I have books coming out that I'm excited about, but I'm not in that thinking about launches and promotion yet because neither of them have been announced. I don't know what the release dates are. I did get some good news this morning that immediately made me angry.
Of course it would. Of course it would. Tell me
Anything
about
publishing
the
related. Publishing news.
Okay.
You're happy for 5 seconds and then you find an angle on it that makes you angry. No, my editor of Savage Crowns, the Final Savage Rebellion book, my adult epic fantasy series. She know that Simon Audio is exercising their right to. Oh well, did I freeze?
No.
Okay, it looked like I froze. Simon Audio is exercising their option to do Savage Crowns as an audiobook. So there will be an audio edition of all 3 Savage Rebellion books. Right?
That's
Which
good.
is very good news. But it also just highlighted how uncertain that was. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just grateful that all my contracted books are going to be released in the formats that we assumed they would be when we started the series. Like,
Yeah.
basically what we're celebrating is that they didn't get canceled, bro. My books didn't get canceled by anybody.
Hooray.
So, like I said, I was happy for about 5 seconds, and I was like, God, that sucks that that's where we're at. I already got downgraded to from hardbacks to paperback releases. Which, I mean, the whole hardcover paperback discussion, we've had it before, we'll have it again. But still, when you start as you're going to be this big deal hardcover release, and the second book is like, we're just going to put that on paperback.
Yeah. Because no one's collecting you.
Yeah. So that was my good news of the morning, followed by my publishing anger. But anyway, so that's where I'm at. I've got books and copy edits that will be coming out, but I don't know what's coming out yet. Whereas you're in like full on book launch mode. We know what your book is. We know when it's coming out. And we've got to let people know.
That's right. That's
This is
right.
where
My book. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm
Before you
still
talk about all that.
something in the back end is still breaking, and I don't know why. I have Station Eternity, which is coming out in a week and a day. I have my copies now. I can't even see if I'm... There we go. I have my copies. I'm very excited. It's a very pretty book. I love
Beautiful.
it.
I love the cover.
I'm proud of it. We'll see if other people agree with the fact that it's good, but I've gotten mostly good reviews. Book List, Library Journal, librarians put it on the top 10 books for October.
Nice.
Yeah. And actually, I do want to talk about one thing, which I guess can go in with book launches. I think I'm growing as a person.
Like in height or?
No.
Oh, okay.
As a person.
Right.
Emotionally. Because I did find one negative review. And it didn't crush me. I didn't go looking for it. I kind of stumbled across it. And and I didn't read it. It's like I discovered there are verbs you can find that are, red flags immediately. Like, the first 3 words being Mur Lafferty tries. Usually when someone says you try something, it doesn't follow with and succeed. So I didn't read it fully, but I did read like the beginning and the end, and I thought, well, that's not good. And then I felt kind of down, but then I've been more crushed by better reviews with like little bitty negative things in it. So the response is largely positive. And 6 Weeks also had one bad review, like from the big journals type review places. So, and that did okay. So it's, I felt proud of myself for not reacting heavily to that. And I can't tell you why. So I shouldn't feel happy for myself because I can't tell you that I actually did an action that's made me towards something mature. Just, it didn't bug me that much.
You don't have to understand the source to enjoy the fruits, the benefits of it, you know.
Yeah.
The point is, it didn't bother you. Like that's a win all the way across the board.
Yeah.
Because, you know, especially before the book comes out, like that, I think your sensitivity to that stuff is even more heightened. You know.
Oh yeah.
And of course, it comes out already. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I think it was last week where I suddenly started to think about every weak spot in the book and how I'd like to fix it.
Right.
That's a good part in the steps that most people take up to book launch, I think. And so that was fun. But yeah, I've been doing. I've got mostly virtual stuff coming up. I have an actual launch event at a bookstore in Chapel Hill, North Carolina next week. If you're in the area, it's Flyleaf Books. So, come on by. I have no idea what response is. So, the more the merrier. I will be masked. I recommend other people being masked. COVID's still a thing, and apparently it's more contagious than ever. And every time we get a new strain, it says it's more contagious than ever. It just scares the crap out of me. But anyway. Valerie Valdez says, 2 days ago I realized I missed a pun opportunity in my first book. The feelings never end.
Oh, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
So, yeah, I'm just
pre-order
from
Flyleaf.
Yeah, if you're not local and you pre-order from Flyleaf, I will sign the book for you because I'm gonna be doing that too.
So yay for signed books and for shopping local and indie. We always encourage that.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm doing that. So I think we used to rail against this, but now I see the point, and I'm just trying to move towards acceptance, which is all the work the author has to do on the marketing end. And I'm not talking about we've talked about the questionnaire that some marketing people send out, like name all of your high profile media contacts.
Right.
I'm like, well, I know Annalee Newitz and Charlie Jane Anders, but they're not on IO9 anymore, so I don't have any. it's like they expect you, and then just it felt like a lot of heavy lifting, which was supposed to be their job. But also what they ask you to do is they want you to do podcast interviews. They want you to do guest blog posts, which feels like a lot of work, honestly. But it is part of...
It is.
But people love to hear something from the author when it's... when your book's coming out. And it doesn't even have to be...
They do.
And it doesn't even have to be, directly connected to your... Sorry. It doesn't even have to be about your book. For example...
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
I've got one of my 5 favorite Agatha Christie novels for reasons that most people don't have, which kind of devolved into 3 Agatha Christie novels I would love to write fanfic for. So, that's coming up.
People love lists.
Yes, they do. And Preemie says, I hope so because I've done a lot of those guest blog posts and I don't think people are reading them. I never hear back. Also, I hate writing them and it's a curse. Well, you know, Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if people... I don't know if I've ever heard, like, this is the engagement levels of the stuff you wrote for us.
Yeah, you never get those. Here's the thing with all that, right? Because they always ask you to do this. And I used to do everything I was asked without question. I was like, I have to do the most I can do, or else how can I, expect them to do the most they can do or complain when they don't, right? Like, at least on my end, I can do I can take every opportunity I'm given. And then after a while, you realize how few of those things are actually opportunities. Mm-hmm. And the truth is, a lot of them are really publicists for publishers just looking like they're doing their job. And that sounds fucked up, but it's the truth. Now, if you want me to do something, I'm willing to do it, but I want to know all about the numbers that the market you want me to write for is getting. Like, what is the audience they're reaching? Who is that audience? And most of the time, you'll find the publicist asking you to write posts for that market have no idea about any of that stuff. It's just a name they pulled off a list somewhere. And if that's going to be the case, then I don't do it anymore. I just don't, because it's not worth my time. Because the truth is, Premium's right. Most of the time, people aren't reading that. They aren't. They just aren't. It's just not happening. Like, unless it's a really big market that reaches a lot of people and they're going to give you a lot of frontage and coverage on it and boost it a lot, then it's just not worth doing. And the same thing with a lot of podcasts. You know, we podcast. I love podcasts. But I want to know about the numbers. I want to know what the listeners are. I want to know what the downloads are. I want to know all those things. And I want to decide if it's worth my time to take time out of my life to go do that, because most of the time they're going to put you on, very small shows with very small listenerships, and it's just not going to do anything, it's just, I've reached a point where I'm not willing to expend that time, that energy, so we can all look like we're doing our jobs marketing the book, when the fact is none of this has any cumulative effect, So
what are your numbers?
So what are my numbers for what?
What are your requirements?
Oh, I mean, like,
you gotta have a number. If you have a demand like that, you have to have a number in mind.
Yeah, like, and I do generally, but like I also I consider scale. I consider what is the, first of all, what is the podcast or the market like they want me to go on? Who do they target? If it's like a general literary podcast, and especially if it's they're targeting broader range, I want it to have a bigger number than like a really niche, like specifically nerd geek podcast, because those tend to have smaller numbers.
Yeah, but you probably have a greater return on investment, sort of, with the nerd podcast.
And then there are intangibles too, like engagement, like they get, and how much engagement they do with their audience too. And it just there's a lot that goes into it, and you got to look at each thing on its own. But you do have to have standards. And most of these days, I don't do a lot, because I just don't get offered. I don't get offered things that meet the threshold to begin with, so it doesn't really even matter, Yeah. But
it's just funny because I still wrestle with this fact that Ditch Diggers has gotten 2 Hugo nominations. One of them was a win. And did we get 2 or 3? I think we got 2.
We had 2 nominations and we won
one win. Yeah. I Should Be Writing, my other podcast, has not gotten any of those any Hugo nominations. I Should Be Writing has 10 times the listeners that Ditch Diggers does.
Yeah.
But when it comes to engagement, like fans writing in or responding, or people asking to be on the show, they all want to be on Ditch Diggers. People do want to be on I Should Be Writing. Not all. I shouldn't say all. But for some reason, Ditch Diggers is, I guess it's more high profile because of we're doing something not a lot of people are doing, which is talking about business, and we've won award.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing of I kind of feel weird if people ask me how many people are listening, because the number's not huge.
Yeah, the perception thing is real. And like we took my first Savage book out to shop around, a lot of the editors that we talked to knew me, but they didn't know me from my fiction. They knew me from this podcast. Mm-hmm. And really? I guess we never really had this conversation. But yeah, my agent and I kind of come to is doing this podcast. I mean, this is a totally mercenary way to look at this. I do this podcast with you because I enjoy doing this podcast with you, and I think it's a cool thing to do. But just from like, what value does it have to my career, which is a conversation you'll have with your agent or whoever at the time. Like, this raised my profile within the industry. Mm-hmm. And it tends to be a very industry-facing podcast that we have here because we talk about industry stuff, right? On I Should Be Writing, you talk about writing. You talk about the craft of writing. You talk about books. You talk to authors about something. And I think that has a much broader appeal to a wider range of people. Now, if you were going to ask me if I had, here's the thing, if I had a book to sell, if I was like, if I was going to take a book out to publishers, I'd want to be on this podcast because I think more people in the industry are going to hear this podcast. If I had a book I'd already sold and now it's going to be published and we're taking it out to readers, I'd want to be on I Should Be Writing because I think I would reach more people who buy books than inside industry people who are inundated with books all the time. You know? And that to me is the difference between hard numbers and perception. And that's kind of what I mean about the intangibles when you talk about numbers, is like the intangibles are like, who's the audience you're reaching? How do you engage them? Like, we're not reaching as many people, but we're a very industry-facing podcast. I Should Be Writing is reaching a wider range because I Should Be Writing is much more, I think, a listener, consumer-focused podcast to me. And I think the numbers bear that when you talk about them, you know?
Yeah. People in chat are discussing the differences. Medius or Immedius, I'm not sure. Ditch Diggers has a much bigger overlap with the Hugo voters. That's a good point. Also, thank you for the follow earlier. I didn't get a chance to say thank you, but and you also triggered my Halloween alerts, which makes me very happy. So, Ditch Diggers feels more like the interview show compared to I Should Be Writing. I have been including more I Should Be Writing interviews in the rotation. Interviews with people I don't know stress me out, which is stupid because I've only ever had... I can count on one hand the people who've been terrible interviews and made me uncomfortable. Those people will never be invited back. I have a list. But for some, it's just that whole, like, welcoming a stranger and you don't know if they're going to give you, like, really good information for your audience or if they're going to start talking about the ghost in their house. This happened, if you remember.
It happened, yeah. I don't think that's unfair. And also, Mur, it's your fucking show. You can do whatever you want, you know? Yeah. Like, you got to make the choices that work for you.
But on the other hand, you know, people are like, go outside your comfort zone occasionally. It's like this podcast is not supposed to be me wrapped up in a blanket.
Again, I think we should either wrapped up in a blanket podcast about pets. Probably be bigger than anything we've ever done in the last 15 years. That'd be the one that really cracked it open finally. No, right, man. Well, that's, we can do that. That's totally fine, though. Yeah. You don't have to, but anyway, getting back to what we're talking about.
Yeah, so book launches.
Yeah, but I do want to dovetail that quickly, and then I want to move on. Is like, when it comes to the doing blog posts, doing podcasts, all that stuff, you have to set standards for yourself. You have to ask questions. And it's not like that stuff can't be worth doing or can't have a cumulative effect, but I really feel like if it's going to, it has to be more than a random one shot. Like, you have to have a targeted approach to it. And I think of, like, Sarah Gailey is a really good example. Mm-hmm. Gailey did all those series of posts for Tor.com on different shit, like, you know, Harry Potter or whatever it was. I'm forgetting now. I'm sorry to Gailey that I'm misremembering. But Gailey did series about things, and those blew up really, really big, and I think got Gailey a pretty sizable following that did translate into their books. You know,
I thought they did the Tor.com stuff before they were writing novels.
They did, but that's kind of my point. Is like, I think if you're gonna take the approach that I'm gonna do blog posts and stuff like that to promote my books, it has to be something you build, and you can do it before. I don't think you have to do it before. You can do it during, but I think because Gailey built that audience doing that, it translated when Gailey started releasing novels. And, like, that's an instance where putting all that work into doing these posts was beneficial to book releases and a book career.
Would you say it would be beneficial for an established author to start doing that?
Yeah, and especially for an established author who has a bit of an audience. Like, if you want to commit the time to doing it, but I think it has to be more than a one shot. Again, it's about consistency, and it's about, you know, doing it, devoting the time to doing something that also builds over time. Because that's the thing, is that one blog post doesn't build anything, you know? And that's why breaking things down in the series the way Gailey did them was such a smart thing to do, because people kept coming back, they kept sharing them, it built a following over time, and built Gailey a following over time. So I do see a value in authors doing things like that, established authors doing things like that. But again, it's something you have to devote a good amount of time to being consistent about and doing something over a long period, which can be difficult for a lot of people. Like, I have no ability to do stuff like that, which is why I don't try to do it. But that's something that occurred to me while we were talking about blog posts, so I wanted to throw that out. I didn't want it to be like doing blog posts is always a waste of time.
Yeah.
But anyway, Mercy, you talked about tour. You talked about virtual. You're doing virtual.
Yep, I'm doing several virtual events between now and December. And that makes it sound really impressive, but it's like a whole bunch next week and then one in December. So it's not like I'm going through November with tons and tons of virtual things. I've just been asked to talk on a panel in November. She Podcast was canceled, which really made me angry because they... I think I talked about that last time. Sorry. I'm still angry. And I just heard from my publicist that they did get me a book signing in DC, and now I have to figure out what to do about that. I think it was not a event, but it was a come by and sign stock, which I suppose I shouldn't drive 5 hours to do, but I still feel bad that they did the work to try to get me into bookstores in the area, and I'm not gonna be there. But
that's rough, man. I feel for you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and you know, with the in-person visits and the books and the tour stuff. I mean, at this point, like, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's that there's no reason everybody can't be doing virtual bookstore-based tours, right? Yeah. Like, because everybody started doing that.
Well, I'm glad I'm doing my local bookstore because this sounds mercenary, and, you know, I'm like, never do this if you don't like the person. You know, networking is not entirely mercenary. If you don't like the person, don't spend time with them, no matter what they can do for your career, because it's just icky. But, you know, I want the bookstore to remember me and like me, and if they do, they'll help sell my books. And so I try to think about that if I ever have a bookstore event. Not that I've had that many, but if I ever have a bookstore event where I don't get a lot of readers showing up, I can still try to show my appreciation to the staff and hope that they'll, you know, remember stuff.
Absolutely. No, I brought that up because I think that is also something that's really we're talking about is the value of booksellers to your book sales, and developing relationships with them, which is something I'm a huge believer in. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, you know, you can really, it's easy to feel like, especially when you're a debut author or you're more of an unknown author, it's really to extract value from doing bookshop events in terms of getting eyes on them from people, right? Like, a lot of times people just don't show up. And that's why they don't usually send debut authors on physical tours around to bookstores. They usually the authors who do physical bookstore tours are English authors who have an audience of people who are already going to show up. But what I wanted to get to talking about the virtual events was, and just like you said, the value I see in doing that is developing relationships with the booksellers themselves and leaving a good impression and showing them you're committed to working with them to try and sell as many books with them as possible. Because that's the thing that lasts longer than, you know, the one event you do the one night, regardless of how many people show up. If you can make a good impression, if they believe in your book and they believe in what you're doing, they'll continue hand selling that book for as long as they have it. And you know, if they sell out, they'll reorder more. And that's the kind of shit that I feel has real value and makes a real difference to your sales. So something I definitely want to focus on going forward, especially with my middle grade books. I'm doing books for kids, and like, I think booksellers matter even more there, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
booksellers and librarians are huge for kids.
Booksellers and librarians. That's the thing I plan to focus more on when I start gearing up to do promotion for that is I want to do as many virtual events with kids' bookstores and as many library events as possible. And I really want to focus on developing with all of those people that extend beyond the visits. And I think that's really what's worth doing. And especially with the virtual stuff, it allows you to reach so many more people in so many more markets, so many more places. Because obviously I can't go around to kids' bookstores all over the country and do physical tours and physical stops. Like, it's just not feasible financially or practically right now. But with virtual being a thing, I really feel like it's worth working that into your plan. You know, because before I would have just said, you might as well just do your local stuff and then call it a day. Because, like, it's not worth, you know, going to another state if you don't have an established audience that's going to show up for you. Mm-hmm. Like, those physical book stops those physical book visits just have such a limited value. But with the virtual stuff, yeah, that's really what I'm looking towards is expanding kind of my network of knowing booksellers and knowing librarians as much as I can, using that as the mechanism.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for it. It's not about the people you draw to those events. It's about the relationships you develop with the booksellers and the stores and librarians and all these people who are going to be there for you as the life of your book goes on.
It's the friends you make along the way.
It is. It is. Marketing is the friends you make along the way. The best marketing, I think, is that. And, it's just you spend years doing this, and those years are spent trying to boil down what actually works, what actually makes a difference to any of this stuff. Because, the depressing truth is 99% of the things you do as the author most of the time don't really have any effect on your actual sales. It's something that is largely out of your control. So accepting that, I try to start to look at practical small things I can do that actually will make a difference. And that's one of those things,
Well, I'm doing something new and where's the word? Not aggressive, but
innovative.
I guess so. Yeah. Innovative. Experimental. I guess that works too. In that I wrote like a 30-minute audio drama.
Oh, the audio drama, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Book, and it's going to be presented live on Twitch as a live table read, with a bunch of people I know, and it's been really interesting and scary, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to turn out. By the way, if you're listening to this before October 1st, it is October 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern Time here on twitch.tv/MightyMur. But it's, it was interesting to try to work out how the project goes, because it's not just the first 3 chapters in audio drama form. I'm trying to take the main 2 people and give them their backstories and how they ended up on the station, and a little bit about the current conflict on the station. And so you get one character's backstory around page 140. So the page 140 thing is going to be, you're going to get well into the book, but it's a flashback, so it's not, it just goes into 140 because that's where the pacing worked. But if you want a sneak peek into the middle of the book in a flashback, definitely check it out, because we will see how one of our characters has gotten onto the station. But yeah, it's been scary. I had a hope. I know 2 people who are established semi-famous actors and failed to get them both. And but I also know a lot of people who are voiceover actors or improv actors or streamers, and so I did get a lot of awesome people involved with it.
Once you say who the people are, Mur, get people excited.
I was getting there. I was getting there. It's just funny talking about trying to do this. It makes it sound like, so I had to settle for these assholes, and I don't want it to sound like that.
No, it's not that. But I like that you're revealing the journey that you took to put this thing together.
Yeah.
Like, you did what you should do. You started with the most notable people. No one can begrudge you that or is going to be upset about that.
Yeah.
And then you worked your way down a list. Like, and that's perfect. That's what you should do.
Yeah. I am delighted to say that Urban Bohemian, aka Brian Gray, will be, actually I should say Brian Gray, aka Urban Bohemian, but anyway, will be my one of my main characters. Joey T. Badger will be my narrator, and a friend of mine who does audiobook narrations, Amanda Berry, will be my other main character. And then I have other people from, Joey T. Badger does the, when Blaseball is happening, if it ever happens again. He does a lot of streaming for Blaseball, but also he and a bunch of his improv friends do a live play of Little League Baseball, which is like Blaseball plus horror plus children. So they all play 11-year-olds in a horror situation. And so a lot of the people involved with that, actually everybody but one, will be helping me out. So Bridget, Marissa, and John Serpico will be helping out. John Smar, who is neither actor nor voice actor nor improv person nor streamer, but is a voice that old-time fans of my work will remember. He's going to be playing a small part. Numbers Ninja will be playing a small part.
Awesome.
And I'm always afraid if I list out the cast, I'm going to forget somebody.
It's not an Oscar acceptance speech. Nobody's going to get upset.
Okay, good. So yeah, I've got these amazing people who are willing. My husband, Jim, is doing the Foley. He's doing all the sound effects. And my assistant, Tim, is doing, basically, he's kind of been the project manager to make sure I don't forget anything, which is really good.
No, I think it's a great idea. I thought it was a great idea the first time I heard it. And it's a really cool way to create a cool event and create a cool piece of art in and of itself, but also promote your book. And also, the first time I saw that, I was like, that's really smart, because it's also, if it goes well and you dig it, it's something you could build on too. There's no reason you couldn't do more of those. And that's something that could build an audience itself over time. People love that. So no, I think it's a really, really smart, cool way to do something cool around your book launch and around the new book. So
it'll be going on YouTube after the Twitch stream, so it'll be up there for good. And what's really neat is, I'd say this diplomatically, this is technically an audio dramatic production. So it does not fall within the purview of my contract with my publisher.
Right.
Because it's it's an audio drama. It's not just a reading of the audiobook. So while we've been, of course, in communication with them and cooperation, my agent did point out that they don't have the rights to this, so I can do it. I could do the whole thing if I wanted. I don't, but it's... this is where you pay attention to the rights that you sell, because this would be, I don't know if audio drama or stage rights or what, but every right that you hold on to can be useful. Especially now that they're doing like stage plays and musicals from novels. I'm still baffled at that, but... if we ever get Six Wakes the musical or Station Eternity the musical, I will be so delighted.
I want to see the space station have its own musical number that the space station itself sings. I think that would be amazing.
Of course she would sing.
I don't think that's ever been done before. So I'd be all about it. No, I'm just saying it'd be cool. I'm like picturing they'd have to do like a cool puppet or puppetry for it. Yeah. And I love puppets. So no, but that is it is all the things you said, Mer. That is it's innovative and experimental, and it's a cool thing you're doing. I hope it works out, and I hope you find this a cool new way to promote the book that really gets it some visibility and some attention.
I hope so too. You know what I found out yesterday? There's a hurricane coming.
Oh man.
Yes, and it will, if it's on its present track, it will hit this area around noon Friday, and we haven't had a hurricane to take out power for more than a couple of hours in a long time. I can't remember the last time it happened, but it's been a long time. So if it goes on its current path, it'll hit us at Category 1, which will probably be fine. Hurricanes are serious, people. I'm just talking about specifically losing power. Right. So it's probably going to be okay, but it would just be so funny if the time a hurricane hits and makes us lose power will be when I'm about to host one of the more adventurous, ambitious. That's the word I was looking for.
Ambitious. There you go.
Ambitious live stream video things I've ever done. So all of you listening or watching, just know that Hurricane Ian is coming, and I have to pay attention to that. I will be keeping my phone charged, so I'll be able to update social media or whatever. And I do have a contingency plan that Joey T. Badger may host the whole thing from Boston, and I could just do my bit because I had to take over one of the acting parts. I'm also in it. had to take over one of the acting parts because I used one of Amanda Berry as my understudy because my star person was not getting back to me, and I'm like, I'm going to offer you either a little bitty part or the most important part, so we'll see. So yeah, I have to do my and I really wouldn't want it to happen without me anyway, but I would do it via the phone. But
you got to do what you got. But if anything, the hurricane element will just add a layer of excitement and tension to the whole proceedings.
True, although the hurricane should be done by the time the actual stream happens, but...
Well, you should pretend it's still happening so it adds a layer of tension and excitement to the proceedings.
I'll tell Jim to put in some wind Foley.
You can, have him Foley that hurricane. Foley that hurricane, Jim. I just like that sentence. I never thought I'd say that in my life, so... All right, well, I know we began late, but
yeah,
it is coming up on the hour here. We're gonna have to call it.
Yes,
because writing beckons. The job we're talking about here beckons.
No kidding. Yeah. So you do your outro, and I'm gonna try to see if we can find somebody to raid.
Okay, but you also have to plug your book when I'm done.
I will. I was going to find someone to raid while you did your promo, and then I would do my promo. And
sounds like a plan. So yeah, you can. It was in the chat. Or I do. You're a fucking Hall of Famer, dude. It was in the chat earlier, but you can find me online at matt-wallace.com. I'm mostly on the Twitters at mattfnwallace. As we talked about during the body of the show, I don't have books upcoming yet, but I have many books out there right now. I have the first 2 books in my Savage Rebellion trilogy, Savage Legion and Savage Bounty. I've got my 2 middle grade books out right now, Bump and the Supervillain's Guide to Being a Fat Kid. We've got merch for all of those things. The Void merch store, they got a whole Matt Wallace collection. You can find that link on my website. They did a great job. You can get cool designs from all the worlds of my fiction on all kinds of cool memorabilia, shirts, cups, stickers. Go check that out. And go consume. Be consumers. It's the best thing you can do is go spend money. Go buy things. My things.
I'm feeling uncomfortable a little
bit. Did you find someone to raid? Can I stop this now?
I did. You can stop.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just put it in the thing right now. Yeah. So I am at Merverse.com, where you can find the links to everything, including how to subscribe to this podcast, how to subscribe to the other podcast, how to get Station Eternity from almost any person who's selling it, either big stores, little stores, you want signed, you want ebooks, you want audio, we got it all. And also, I have not promoted my Ophelia Network novella very much. It is on audible.com, so it's an exclusive. More and more people have been coming out of the woodwork telling me they like it, which is making me feel a lot better. So that's good. I'm gonna stream. I gotta take my 3-legged dog to the vet tomorrow. She's not 3-legged. She's just got knee surgery, and so I will not be streaming tomorrow afternoon, but I will be streaming Wandering Village on Wednesday, and I should be writing on Thursday, and then live stream. I should be, or Station Eternity live on Saturday night, October 1st, 7 p.m. This podcast was produced under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives License. Music provided by Devo Spice, devospice.com.
Ditch Diggers!
This is a free podcast brought to you by the kindness of our patrons. If you would like to also be kind and a patron, go to patreon.com/mightymur.